Do you have an estranged adult child or children? I have three. My fiance has one, and my best friend has one. So I don't talk about this topic a lot because it's a difficult topic to talk about. It's very hurtful, but I thought maybe it was time to talk about it a little bit and see how you feel. Um, I would like to see some comments on how you feel, how you deal with it, how you cope with it. For me, it's been 9 years since I've seen my three children, and they are 18, almost 23, and 28. So they're old enough, not that they're toddlers or, a little bit older or teenagers. Well, I know my youngest is a teenager, but I have not seen them in 9 years. And so I thought I'd make a video about it and how things are going, how I'm coping, the things I'm doing to deal with it, because it's not easy by any means. And I thought maybe I would try to make a video on what you can do. And if anybody can tell me, I'd like to know, because I really don't. When you have your children and you have them all the time, you're used to what you do with them, and then all of a sudden when you're without them, you're kind of lost. You're like, now what do I do? I don't get to see them. um, Mine are to the point, sorry, you'll see that I do weird things when I videotape because I don't edit. I just go and do and say what I want, and that's the way I do my videos. They're raw, and that's the way I want them to be. I want you to see who I am, how I am, and not edited. Edited? Okay, well, you got it. Um, so what I did, because my fiance thought he saw my oldest daughter at the store, and I'm like, so how many years am I possibly going to have to deal with possibly running into them at the store? I didn't like the idea of surprises, or if I did see them, um, having to do, like, when you see an old friend that you don't want to talk to and you just pretend like you don't see them and you walk the other way, or you quick turn corner to avoid them. I didn't want to have to deal with that, so we decided to move 6 hours away and to another state. It's more comfortable down here because I can walk outside. I can go to the store. I don't have to worry about running into them. And in the beginning, I was like, I want to run into them. I want to see them. I want to, be able to talk to them. But then after, I was court ordered to write them letters through their therapist. Well, then my ex took them out of therapy. Actually, I'll back up a minute. The therapy quit. Therapist. It's Sunday. The therapist quit, so they had to find a different one. But I was supposed to write letters to them every month and eventually see them. Well, he decided after that one quit, he went and found another one. And then it was, well, she's too far. I'm not going to take them. So he totally pulled them out. That was against court order. Did he get punished for it? No. There's no consequence. The only one that was ever punished was me. And it was really unfair. My lawyer quit 2 days before our family hearing, where I was supposed to find out when I could get visitation. And my lawyer quit, so I didn't have a lawyer. And his lawyer, we're not going to talk about. So he just got away with so much, and I was the one who got punished. I got sent to jail because he would talk to me and then turn around and tell the cops that I talked to him. So I ended up getting hauled off to jail. I sat for almost 3 months because my probation got revoked. Like I said, I went through hell. And in the meantime, since he's a narcissist and he would brainwash the children into believing that I was so bad and I did all this and it's not true. Some of it was true, but I was pushed to the point of no return. Um, I also have mental illnesses, and I had just, it's going to sound like excuses, but it's true. I had just watched my dad pass away literally in front of me. So my dad, I was the baby of the family, so my dad and I were very close. I watched him pass away, and then my medication was all screwed up. So I was a mess. I'm not gonna, lie about that. And he used that to his advantage and against me. So he would brainwash them. I mean, I really don't know what he would tell them, but he brainwashed them into not wanting to see me. I mean, my daughter, my youngest, she had life, a life, I don't want to say life-saving, but it was life-saving surgery, and I wasn't allowed there. They would not allow me to see her. And she was 11. And then I found out she's on birth control. It's like, well, it's even greater. Where's her mother? Uh, Her mother was not allowed to be in their lives because I didn't have a lawyer for the hearing, so I wasn't able to defend myself. The judge told me to be quiet, and he was allowed to, the lawyer wanted him to speak, and he didn't even know their birthdays or their dates of birth. And so it's like, seriously? You don't even know your own kids' birthdays or date of birth? So he'd have to look at his lawyer, and then she would answer. And she was married to a judge in another county. So you can just imagine how she was. So I got the shaft on that, and he said, no, you're not going to be seeing your kids. And there was never another hearing or anything. So I was allowed to write them letters. And I did that. And that went nowhere. And then I would write letters, and I doubt that they got them because I had sent them one of those SD cards that has, you can put music on or pictures, things like that. It was a micro SD card, and I turned my phone off and it still goes off. It drives me nuts. Because can't I just do these in peace? So anyway, I went ahead and sent them a letter with the SD card that had all of their baby pictures, well, from when they were born until I stopped seeing them. And so that was like 12 to 14 years, I think. And I made it so they'd have to sign for it so I would know that they got it. Well, I don't know which child. It was the girls because my son had moved out. And somebody had refused it. And it was supposed to go back to our old um, house, to that address, because when you have mail forwarding or whatever, when you move, it's supposed to last for a year. So I had it put the return address as our old house, so then it would hit that, and then it would be forwarded to our new house down here. Well, I checked, and basically it got lost in the mail, but I'm smart enough that I made a copy. And so they never got that. I would call my daughter and leave her voicemails saying, I'm sending you this SD card. It's got all your baby pictures and everything on it. It's your childhood, so I thought maybe you deserve it, and I think you should have it. Because I'm not even going to go into, they gave, we lived in that house for 8 years, and I got to make a list of things that I wanted of mine or whatever out of the house. I had 10 minutes. So I got 10 minutes to write down things I wanted from the house. Well, my son passed away and he was 8. I didn't get any pictures. I didn't get anything that belonged to him. I didn't get anything that had anything to do with him, because my ex is such a narcissist that I'd try to call him, but I believe since there was a restraining order, I had to go through his lawyer. And she basically said, tough shit, it wasn't in your list. You're not getting it. It wasn't even his son. So that was pretty unfair. And I still, 9 years later, have been trying. So anyway, I sent them the SD card. They refused it. It got lost in the mail. I do send, because my youngest, she changed her phone number. And I know she still has a phone, because no kid can live without a phone. So she must have changed her phone number, because I get, the recording that that phone number no longer exists or whatever. So I have my other daughter. So I'll leave her voicemails telling her, I'm thinking about her and things like that. My ex and I had burial plots together. It was just basically, obviously, it was just dirt. And I moved out of state, and I made new plans of what I'm going to do at the end of my life. So I didn't want the burial plot. And I tried to sell it, and nobody jumped on it. So I just said, fuck it, and I signed off, and I had to have it notarized, and I just signed it off to him, and he couldn't refuse it. He had to take it. So then, that's quite a while ago. I found out recently that my former mother-in-law, his mom, passed away. So I called him. Of course, he didn't answer, because it's me. And I just left my condolences. And I saw that his dad moved from Texas up with him, either with him or an apartment by him. Because I live, like I said, 5.5 or so hours away and in a different state. So he had a new Facebook, my ex's dad. And I'm like, oh, that's fascinating. So I clicked on it, and it was him a month after his wife of almost 60 years flipping off the camera. I'm like, that's how you act after your spouse dies? It's kind of horrible. And I got along with them. They were, I left my condolences on her obituary in the paper online. So sorry, as usual. And it disappeared. I don't know if they're allowed to say, I don't want this on there, take it off. I would guess. But I'm just like, well, that's really rude. You can't even let me give my condolences to my former mother-in-law, who I took care of when she had cancer, and who, we got along so good before, and you are going to be a jackass and have that removed. That's just so low. But that's beside the point. That's how he is. So I ended up, because on Facebook, across the page, you get down there, and it says, people you might know and things like that. Well, so I saw his dad's picture again. So I clicked on it, and his cover picture that's on the top was a family picture. Now, mind you, I had a feeling my ex was seeing a really close friend of mine who wasn't, he took all my friends away, and he took everything. So I had a feeling he was seeing her, dating her, Okay, I'm not going to say it. So it was his sister and her husband. It was my two girls, his dad. All I really cared about was seeing my girls. My son and his wife, and she's just lovely. And I couldn't even find him in the picture. I'm just like, where is he? Well, I finally found him. I mean, just, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people, but I can't find him. So when I found him, I'm like, oh, what the hell happened? And then he was with her, which I guessed, and I held off as long as I could. And then I messaged her on Facebook Messenger, and I just, I was nice. I played the nice card and said, whatever, I don't even remember. But I played the nice card with her. And, I have more issues than friggin' anybody. A hair or sneeze or cough or whatever. I do my best. That's all that matters, right? So anyway, I'm like, oh, I knew that they were together. And it's not like she was in the picture just to be in the picture. He had his hand on her shoulder. So it's like, duh. And then my ex-father-in-law, he was down on the bottom. My girls were there. They hadn't changed the way they looked since the last time I saw them. So I'm like, okay, whatever. It wasn't real exciting. They are little, they probably still live with him because they're little opportunists. They're daddy's girls, and they get what they want. They think they're entitled. So that's where it's at now with them. People ask, well, what if they want to talk to you? Because, yeah, they have my phone number. I've called them. They've called me and screamed at me. That was my son's little doing, was to call and just scream at me, wish me dead. The two older ones were kind of on board with that. The third one, she's mama's baby, so she really wasn't on board with that. She's like, yada, 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 a lot of that. So basically now, being 9 years later, so that would be half of my youngest daughter's life, I sort of have come to the conclusion, because people say, oh, what if they get a hold of you later? What if they want to see you or talk to you later? Later might be too late. Because I'm over the sadness. Because, after so long, you don't know them anymore. So after a while, it's kind of like, whatever. I don't know you. It just, for me, that's for me anyway. So if they get a hold of me, I honestly don't know what I would say. I don't know what I would do. And I feel that, honestly, I don't want anything to do with them. Other people would be like, yeah, all excited, and I can't wait to see him, and I can't wait to talk to him. Not me. I feel like it really wasn't their fault, even though they did have choices and times that they could have seen me, and they chose not to, but that was their father's doing, not theirs. They were brainwashed. So I don't feel like, it was their fault. But they're old enough now to make that choice, and they're not making that choice, probably because I'm fucking with this. I feel like I'm I feel like I'm too low. I feel like, at 18, almost 23, 28, my son has always been kind of an ass. But my daughters and I were close. We spent every day, all day together. I'm sure they went through hell when they couldn't see me anymore. but he also brainwashed them. So maybe he brainwashed them so bad. And then he did, I can say that. I shouldn't even doubt that, because they had opportunities that they could have said, yeah, we do want to see you. But what I'm afraid of what happened was their dad maybe said, if you see her, you can leave. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want you living here anymore. Um, you never know. So I'm dealing with that. Um, I can't I can't say I'm dealing with it because I feel like I've dealt with it and the door is closed. I don't know what they could say or do to reopen that door. I feel like I maybe don't want that door reopened. I've moved on with my life. They they have, you would think, or is that door partially still open? So I really don't know. I don't usually sit here and think about it. I have other things to do. I moved on with my life. They no longer exist in my life. And then what if they decide they want to exist in my life? How do you deal with that? You know, do you have any ideas that could give me ideas? Because I'm really curious of people who have gone through this. Say you're the child, you're estranged, and you decided to contact your estranged parent. Is that right? Whatever. You know what I mean? You know, have you decided to make contact again and try to get back into their lives? What if it worked? What if it didn't? So if you could give me some insight, just because I don't like surprises, and now that, especially now that they're getting older, maybe they can think for themselves instead of their father thinking for them. Um, I'd love to hear it. I really would. What do you do? How do you deal? What if you don't want to? Then what do? Do you just tell them no? Do you ignore them? Do you tell them I'm not comfortable with this? Um, I would like some input on exactly what happened with you, how you dealt with it, um, and how it's going, if it's still going. So, okay, I am looking forward to comments on this. It's important to me, but yet I don't have it on the top shelf anymore. Because after 9 years, how much more time do you need? I know there were children and they needed time to grow up. I'm still waiting for that. No. Um, and if I'd like to know what you went through. I'd like to know how you coped with it, how you're coping with it. If your parent that was estranged said, no, I don't want anything to do with you, any scenario, I would like to hear, um, because it's important to me. And I would super appreciate it. And if you enjoy my videos, if you could subscribe. If you like my videos, absolutely, please like them. Um, all that good YouTube stuff, that makes YouTube what it is. So you have a fantastic day. Hopefully the weather is nice out by you. We're hoping to get the pool warm enough so we can get into that, because the season is starting to wind down. They say it's going to get hot again. So we're leaving it up. We're not taking any chances of being hotter than hell again. So I hope you have a great day, and I appreciate you. Have a great one.